All right, afternoon, folks. Phil Gallagher here with a rare daytime stream. Fresh off Jarvis, you savagely besting me in the Legacy Premier League. Well played to Jarvis last night. Really, I just went and rewatched the VODs, and I think he did an excellent job of picking and choosing his battles and pivoting his role well in the matches. Uh, pretty happy with my performance in the Legacy Premier League as a whole. And I'll talk about that a little bit later once more people are in the chat. But I had some things that I wanted to do during the Legacy Premier League, and I definitely accomplished them. So let's look at this beauty. So this was the deck that I was planning on playing against Brian Gottlieb. Because, and I'm going to be honest here, I expected Pleasant Kenobi to lose his match, and I expected to be playing against Brian. So this was the deck list that I was going to submit against him. And then Pleasant Kenobi won, and I decided not to play this deck, and I instead registered something else. What was it that round? I think it was like one of my Loam decks or something that round. I forget which one I played against Pleasant Kenobi. But yeah, this is a deck that Max Gilmore, Max Dorshin, and I brewed up. So we were sitting down to build post Ren and 6 ban Steel Stompy. And we both initially wanted to splash green. We wanted chokes in the sideboard, and we wanted to play Clip Wings. And then we built the deck list, and I looked at it, and I said, you know, it doesn't feel like it's really worth it. You know, we're making the mana worse in the main deck. I don't know about this. And he was talking about black for Plague Engineer and Lily's Triumph, and I'm like, yeah, but. And then I had this moment of serenity, of clarity, and I realized that in this deck there are 42 zero-cost things that you can flip to Dark Confidant. 42. 22 lands plus 20 zero-cost spells. That means your Bob will very, very rarely do damage to you. And then this deck was born. So it is a traditional Stompy deck in that we have some hate pieces and then a bunch of very annoying threats. We have Chalice of the Void and Thorn of Amethyst as our main deck sort of hate cards of choice. We're playing Thorn over something like Trinisphere because we're not casting very many non-creature spells. Now the Stonecoil Serpent is in the deck, which is one that I might have to show off to you. Reach, Trample, Protection from Multicolored, enters with X counters on it. Now that you're playing this and fewer non-creature spells, so if we look at our non-creature spells, it's the Thorns, the Jittes, and the Chalices. So the Thorns actually have very little drawback on our own deck. Hey Bailey, hope all is well. Other than that, we have the traditional Steel Stompy Shell blended with black. That does mean ley lines are hard castable in the end game. Plague Engineer, I don't know. Is that a good card? I only lost 2 of my 3 matches to it last night. Plague Engineer, devastatingly a good card. And Liliana's Triumph, well, you might go like, does that deck really need edicts? Yes. Merit Lodge is a problem. A Sneak and Show creature is a problem. This goes and gives us outs to that. But obviously, my favorite card in the entire deck is Sword of Truth and Justice. I've been a champion of this card ever since it was spoiled. I love it to death. I want to jam this in Death and Taxes anytime that Stoneblade or Miracles is popular. And it's even better here, because you get to proliferate. I don't know. Do we have anything that involves counters that we... Oh, we do. We have a lot of things that involve counters, and we can get real weird with Sword of Truth and Justice very, very quickly. Super excited to try out this deck. This is one that I've been wanting to play for, I think, about 2 weeks, so really excited to hop into a league with this. So just a little more background about how we designed this deck. I asked Maxtortion for a starting point for Steel Stompy post Ren and 6 banning. And we bantered back and forth. I don't know, it must have been for about 2 hours coming up with various deck lists before we settled on this. We have an odd hand here. We have no fast mana, but we have 2 Wastelands and Thorn of Amethyst. We can play this game slowly and wait until the Ravager and Stonecoil Serpent become real threats, but this is a very strange hand in that it might win the game very handily against some decks and be flat out dead against others. So like if we're playing against some control deck that is non-Astrolabe based, we are going to wreck face with this hand. If we're playing against a combo deck and we resolve this Thorn on turn 2, it's great. If we play against a fair deck, this is a medium power level hand at best. I'm going to keep this one due to morbid curiosity. I don't think this is one of our better hands, though. So let the record show, I think this one's a mulligan. But I'm willing to lose a game to see how this hand plays out. I'm used to much faster Steel Stompy hands. But let's see if we can play this one patiently and have it work out for us. I don't really want to show the Wasteland this turn, if I don't have to. I would play Urborg. It also causes the maximum amount of confusion. Oh, unquestionably, I cannot keep that hand on the draw. Absolutely not. So that's no shuffle with that Ponder. All right, so now we start to play Magic. So the Stonecoil Serpent is going to get better and better every turn that we wait to play it. So we're going to play our other 2 cards this turn. I'm going to play the Umezawa's Jitte first, and play that around another copy of Spell Pierce, and then I'll play the Ravager into a potential Daze. I think the Jitte is the big prize here, with Stonecoil Serpent having Trample. Ooh, my opponent is missing land drops here. Or his potential... Oh, never mind. I don't really get what's up with the desire to play all your stuff second main phase on Moto. Protection from multicolored, you say? The factory is actually a pretty good draw. Note our opponent is still on mono basics here. So the question is, do I want 2 different threats, or do I want 1 enormous threat? I guess 3 is actually the better question, because I'm gonna play the factory regardless. I think I'm okay with trying to go wide here. I do not expect this Stone Coil Serpent to be on the board after one turn. I want to make that clear. I think that it is going to become Arcbound Ravager food. Oh. So what am I equipping? Probably... So my opponent can't go Plow, Snapcaster, Plow. If my opponent is some sort of Miracles-esque shell, I value my factory the most, so I probably don't want to equip that. I think I'm going to go with equip on my Ravager. And let's see if we can take out that Planeswalker. Yeah, it makes me feel like my opponent has a Terminus on top, and there's nothing that I can do about it. Oh, thank God, it's not Terminus. So note, I know my opponent isn't playing Astrolabe because they are playing regular plains and islands and not snow-covered ones. Yes, resolves. You will take one of my two creatures. The Ravager. That's fine. Stonecoil Serpent is still a big boy. Note, I did make a small misplay there. I should have tapped my Swamp. In case my opponent has main deck back to basics. Not that it really matters, because I don't know that they have the tempo available to them to actually do that, but, you know, good habits matter. Okay. AJ's Brainstorm. Yeah, I should have wastelanded the Tundra. I'm with you. That was sloppy. That seems like an extremely early concession from my opponent. Hey, remember that sort of truth and justice I was just talking about and how sweet it was going to be? Well, there we go. So, the biggest question that I have right now is my opponent a Miracles deck, or are they a Stoneblade deck? Because I would want to approach the two things differently. And I don't know that I have enough information. I saw the AK, which makes me think miracles, so I am going to board for miracles. So I think I'll want to be able to revoke planeswalkers and sorceress spyglass planeswalkers. I think my easiest cut is Hangerback Walker. So while Hangerback Walker is a sweet grindy card, it is very bad against Swords to Plowshares since it's a dies trigger. So I think that's my easy cut. And then I'm kind of inclined to just shave one of these. I could consider bringing in the Ratchet Bomb as either an answer to a Planeswalker or as an answer to Monk tokens, but I don't know that I want to do that. Oh, I could trim a Jitte instead. Yeah, I like that. Then we can still keep our 8 annoying permanents. Note that for the post sideboards here, our post sideboard games, generally speaking, our Bobs tend to do more damage because like we don't have 0-cost things in our sideboard. We have things with real converted mana costs. So the Bobs get ever so slightly worse for post sideboard games. What is this brew? I mean, look at it. It is what it is. Okay, we have a turn 1 Bob with this hand, or a turn 1 Sorceress Spyglass. We're going to be looking for another land, but I think this one is a keep. The hand has problems. Let's not beat around the bush with that. But I think it's fine. Just blind YOLO Pithing Needle me. Okay. I mean, I guess you name, like, Ravager or Overseer. Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay. No, I really respect that name, actually. That's a weird draw. So we're going to try to take them off of white first. We're going to see what happens if I Sorcerer Spyglass them. I want to Sorcerer Spyglass them, name a white fetch land, and play a Bob. That's the dream this turn. We're going to name Prismatic Vista. This is good, clean magic right here. Good, clean magic. So this Brainstorm needs to hit white fetch land plus a Swords, or we spiral this game completely out of control. Oh, man. Oh, man, that feels good. So we don't get another play this turn, but that's not actually that big of a deal. Like, given what we know. Oh, baby. Oh, I am certainly being mean again. Unquestionably. Look at how nice those bobs are. Not dealing me any damage. Don't think I need to, like, try to double spell this turn, because I could really only, like, Stone Coil Serpent for 1 plus do something else. I think I'm going to play this out, but just tap it for black. Yeah, it's very possible my opponent also does not realize that the Prismatic Vistas are generating mana currently. Yeah, so like they could have tapped a Prismatic Vista for black and kept a red open. All right, they're done with me. They're done with me. We have created a monster, Max. That's what we've done. So if you're ever wondering, hey, what exactly was Phil thinking when he submitted that terrible, like, 4 Pithing Needle for Sorcerous Spyglass deck? It was something like that. Something like that is what I had in mind. And Capped Pat, thank you very much for following. And Dr. Bill, I don't remember if I thanked you yet again for your continued support, but thank you. Yeah, deck currently has a 100% win rate. Confirmed unbeatable. Turn 1 Chalice on the play with double Wasteland as follow-up. Yeah, I'm into that. My cat is getting a little bit moody. I've been in here for 2 hours already. I was going and watching my Legacy Premier League matches from last night to kind of see where my misplays were and where my various decision trees were. And then I started streaming. Yeah, so in the in the GP Richmond era, I think I had a 74% win rate with Death and Taxes, like sustained over, I think somewhere between like 150 and 200 matches or something like that. That was the longest sustained, like, very high win rate that I had. I think the metagame is still too new to decide how good D&T is, but it's way better than it was before. I can say that with absolute certainty. Feels kind of like we're playing against Ant. It feels real good when you have that data. Because it's rare that even great players have those streaks for, oh, Death Shadow Delver, for a really sustained period of time. I think I'm going to take another turn to Wasteland. Yeah, that is a Force of Will in the yard. Alright. Ignore me. I'm dumb. Anyway, I think I'm going to take another turn to go and just, like, try to take them off of mana again. Because playing a Hangerback Walker out on 1 isn't really great against what we have going on over there. So one of my cards is getting Wastelanded. If I play Urborg, it turns their Wasteland into a swamp, which is not the best. But I would really like to have my City of Traders around for longer. So if I play Urborg, I give them black mana. If I play City of Traders and this gets Wastelanded, then I just end up playing the Urborg later, and the Urborg actually stays around for longer. This is a weird one. Alright. I'm going to very reluctantly play this Urborg. Okay, this is what I was hoping for when I made my line. I was hoping that my opponent would Wasteland me and not actually keep their stuff around. Alright, so it's 1 mana to go and activate this. So I could go all in on just making Thopter tokens right now. I don't think I'm going to do that yet. I think I'm going to leave myself with options and, like, leave myself the ability to create more Thopters. My life total isn't under that much pressure. But I can get rid of this Delver, you know, basically at any time I want. But if my opponent continues to miss land drops, I'm perfectly happy with ticking up this Hangerback Walker for a couple of turns. And just giving some love taps with Arcbound Ravager in the meantime. You know, every extra Thopter I get is just silly. So my opponent has a decision that they're thinking on. I'm not sure if that decision is, am I holding this Delver back to block? Or what? It appears that that was the decision. I'm not going to pull the trigger on trying to kill the Delver yet. Okay, no reason to play that out yet and lose the City of Traders. We can just comfortably continue to tick this thing up. Could have considered feeding the Lotus Petal to Arcbound Ravager. But again, I don't think I'm in a hurry. And I'm going to leave myself with some flexibility. You know, there are lines involving me drawing a Bob where I do just want to have this Lotus Petal around still. The other thing keeping the Lotus Petal does is allows me to get a larger Stone Coil Serpent. I do still need to respect Wastelands from my opponent. And keeping the Lotus Petal around and if I get Wasteland, it still lets me play any spell around something like a Daze. And I do know that my opponent has a Spell Pierce, which currently isn't looking so hot. Alright, I wasn't really expecting that, I'm not gonna lie. Oh no, Max, the backseat driving is very much appreciated. You know, I have less than 50 games in with Steel Stompy. You have hundreds. Hey, hey, and welcome. Alright, and my opponent concedes there. So, we are playing against Bug Death Shadow Delver with Mongoose? Question mark? Watery Grave kind of weirds me out. So, I like Liliana's Triumph. I like Ratchet Bomb. And honestly, I'll probably consider Plague Engineer too. The ability to like just trade with a Mongoose or kill something like a True Name Nemesis is not terrible. So maybe on the draw, I don't love my Thorn of Amethysts. My life total is a little pressed against Delver. So I could see wanting to cut something like Bob's. I guess the question is, so I have 6 land-based mana sources, plus the 4 petals. I don't think I can play all of these black cards reasonably. I could see doing something like that. I'm unsure about 7 black cards in the deck with the number of black sources that I have, and 2 of them being wastelandable. But I think I like something like this. Okay, we have a hand with a lot of gas but no acceleration, and we're very weak to wasteland. I'm inclined to ship this one, but I'm going to think about it for a second, because it becomes pretty dumb if we draw a soul land. But I'm going to ship it. This hand is far worse. Far, far, far worse. This will be a keep. We'll throw back the Liliana's Triumph that I can't cast. It looks like the Lotus Petal. The Lotus Petal would let us play Chalice on 1 around days, which is something. I don't love jamming Chalice into this open mana here. It feels like this is a Spell Pierce. And playing this out plays into Wasteland and Spell Pierce and like maybe Force of Will and Force of Negation as well, like kind of ruining me. So I don't want to expose this. But I don't think I can just play Wasteland and pass. So this is a play that's pretty good if my opponent does not have Wasteland. If they don't have Wasteland and I can just like play Hanger back into Hanger back or Hanger back into Chalice or something, I'm totally fine with this. I'm also pretty okay with this getting dazed. Like, I would much rather lose a Hanger back than a Chalice to a daze, unquestionably. And we're not getting Wastelanded. Good news. And now we're in the same situation as we were last turn. Briba, I play a lot of City of Traders decks, and I mean a lot. And there's so many times where I'm internally going, oh god, I am beyond screwed if they take this out here. I think I'm going to try to play around Spell Pierce again by just re-jamming a Hanger Backwalker. It's possible that I'm being too conservative with this Chalice. But I certainly don't mind it. So next turn, given the opportunity, I will just jam the Chalice of the Void. We're starting to be in, like, Death Shadow is going to matter range. And I would love to get this Chalice down before my opponent resolves one of those, but that might not be happening. Yeah, that's a little unfortunate. So now we can play Chalice around the third days. So note, I'm pretty sure my opponent is just doing that to bounce that land back to their hand. Gosh. All right, well that's really good to know about for later. Note, an edict to take this Death Shadow off the table would be clutch. A Plague Engineer would be clutch. A Ravager. I'm not going to go so far as to say that's clutch, but I'm going to be casting it. I don't think I want to wasteland this. I think I want to keep this city in play to keep the dream alive of going and playing a Plague Engineer. So that's going to change it so that my opponent has put me on a 2-turn clock. We don't need to take the block this turn because we can potentially... that's not great. We can take the same block next turn, and if we had drawn a creature, ended up in better shape. Plague Engineer. Nope, okay. Alright, that was a mull to 5, and we flooded out a bit. Like, no worries there. Still feeling fine. On the play, I can consider bringing the Thorn of Amethyst in, but I think I'm just gonna continue rocking what I've got here. So turn 1, play an idiot. Turn 2, probably play 2 idiots. I'm in. So the Stonecoil Servant could potentially become bigger later. So considering just like playing it as a 2/2 that can trade with a Delver if my opponent opens on that, but they may not be correct. Maybe I should just lead on Ravager to give myself greater options once I have multiple creatures in play. Well, I was kind of hoping to do that to you, friend, but alright. I would not make this play if I didn't draw a black source, because I think leaving the Lotus Petal around has some value to it. Not me. If you want to take a look at the deck list, you can click on the sets of cards that are on the screen, and that'll pull up the whole thing, and you can see what we're looking at. But the answer is no, I don't have either of those cards. We are a colorless deck first. Super happy to just see my opponent pondering rather than playing to the board. No, it is black steel, as in steel stompy with black. Get out. Sad chops. I mean, accurate. But you get to do such degenerate things in Vintage. Like, you get a try land. Not these soul lands. You have a Thran Dynamo on a land? Fatal Push. I think our opponent really needs to stick something like a Death Shadow in their next turn cycle here. Yeah, you can play that 1/1. Thank you very much for your continued support, Soyo Penguin. It is much, much appreciated. Opponent has 6 cards in graveyard currently, so I do not want to wasteland them until post-combat. That show's pretty good. I enjoy it a lot. It's very good by traditional shonen standards. And I like that you have a hero who actually has to like use his brain and work hard rather than just like, oh no, there's a new challenge. Oh great, there's yet another hidden power that I didn't know about that is going to bail my butt out of this situation at the last moment. Enjoy that aspect about it a lot. Alright, there's Oko in that deck. That's good to know about. So Stonecoil Serpent does trade with Nimble Mongoose now. But I think we need to continue on with this plan. Awkwardly, I am giving my opponent black mana via my Urborg. But they had that anyway. So, notably, this creates Thopters that fly. My opponent does not have flyers in their deck. That's probably our path to victory. Going to be a combination of Walking Ballista Laser and Thopter tokens. It's going to be just Thopter tokens. So that puts my opponent to 5. I think I'm supposed to take this hit and then chump block next turn. Then crash in with 2 Thopters. Oh, that's interesting. If I attack him with Stonecoil Serpent, my opponent is obligated to chump block with Nimble Mongoose. I mean, you know I love bribes. I could attack with Stonecoil Serpent, trade it for Mongoose, play out Bob, chump block with Hangerback Walker, have Bob and a Thopter to crack back for 3. That might be risky. I think I'm just going to play Bob next turn. The thing is, if they draw a removal spell for my Stonecoil Serpent, it's just better to trade it off now. Yeah. So I think I'm going to make this trade now. Bump in the night would be pretty clutch. Another creature's annoying. But another Hangerback Walker's sweet. See if that resolves. This will leave me dead to a removal spell if I attack with both. No, it won't. I create an idiot. What am I talking about? So if my opponent flips Delver, they're not dead. The good old defensive Delver. Sometimes you need that 3/2 blocker. Alright, they flip it to a Force of Will. And Penguin, if you want to, rather than sending me a photo, if you have a deck list, that would be even better. Just so I can directly import it. But yeah, 100% up for playing that deck. And I'll also have to think about sorry, I started looking at an email. I just totally lost my train of thought. Opponent pretty deep in the tank about what to do here. It is a delicate spot for them. Even something like fetching might end up being lethal for them, right? So like if they attack with the Death Shadow, I have 3 things. They can block 1 with the Delver, so if they fetch, they die. This is an obligated block by me, or I'm dead. So note, we are safe from daze here. We can tap Ancient Tomb for black mana rather than for damage. So now, do I want to attack in? So I can attack in for 2, followed by attacking in for 1, and I represent lethal while holding Bob back to block. I would die to a removal spell if I do that. Otherwise, I can hold back, but I lose 1 Thopter per turn. Well, I guess if I hold back, my opponent either has to play another creature or play back a Death Shadow. No, they don't. We just kind of end up in a similar situation as last turn. Acting under the assumption that they're kind of brainstorm locked here. Maybe I will hold back so I don't die to a removal spell. I'm just kind of weirded out that they didn't force the Bob. Oh shoot, they would have died if they forced. That's the problem. Yep, okay. Hmm. Well, the game's gotten weird now. They have flipped their Delver. I don't love seeing that. I wonder if I was just supposed to not play around the Fatal Push. Yeah, so like if I make the attack, I leave myself just dead to a removal spell. And I don't like attacking with 2 of the 3 Thopters, because then you trade 1 damage for one of your creatures. Great, thank you very much. It's a very delicate situation here. Ballista off the top doesn't need to be lethal, though, right? Like, if I played a Ballista for 2, blocked a Death Shadow, and then pinged a Delver or pinged them, that's going to win the game as well. Alright, they are making 1 attack in. I obviously need to block it. The question is, with what? Probably a Bob. I'm a little nervous about double Bob flips. Single Bob flip, I'm okay with that. Double Bob flip, eh. Nice. Nice. So now I can attack them down to 1 if I want. And then die to Death Shadow on the crackback. So I think I'm just going to hold back and let Bob continue to do Bob things. Isn't that something? So how do I do this? I can just put it on the Thopter past the turn, and that kind of prevents the Death Shadow from attacking. Or I can put it on Bob, attack with Bob, trade Bob for Delver, be left with the Jitte. No, that one doesn't work. Yeah. So we'll equip here. So I guess by not exposing myself to the kill earlier, I'm just kind of exposing myself to a removal spell, like basically every turn. Like that. Alright, that's a little unfortunate. I think I could have played that one differently. In retrospect, I wish I would have gone in with all three of the Thopters and just, like, been dead to a gut shot or fatal push for that one turn. Because I bought myself a lot of time, but I didn't get something like a Ravager, a Stone Coil Serpent, a Plague Engineer, or something like that that I would have needed to turn the game in my favor. Yeah. I wish I would have just gone for it and not played around the removal spell. I probably would have won that one. That's on me. I still do think we were very favored for most of that. Like, you know, we were on the back foot in that, like, we were in the abyss, but we had so many very good top decks. You know, if that Jitte had been a turn sooner prior to the gut shot, you know, life is in an entirely different position. You know, say lovey. All right, back in we go. Chalice on 1, turn 1. That's a keep. We have the sweet Ancient Tomb Bob combo going on here. Which we might be doing. Don't try this at home, kids. If we attack with Bob, there's a chance we might trade it with a Snapcaster Mage here. Really looking to get more land with this Bob. I need to stop tapping this Ancient Tomb. Alright, there's a land. It feels sort of like we're playing against like something like Sneak and Show. In which case this limited disruption is not necessarily going to be good enough. So I'm going to try to play the thing that will clock them the hardest in the immediate turn cycle here. Alright, we're not dead. That's the good news. Yeah, Chalice on 0 prior to me playing the Thorn might have been good. And playing the Chalice on 0 would have maybe smoothed this turn out a little bit. So if I'm willing to tap an Ancient Tomb for mana, I can Ravager plus Ballista. Yeah, Max, your experience is showing here. Yeah, so I think the previous turn, I should have played Chalice on 0 before it walked into my own Thorn. And Max is right. I should have just played Walking Ballista for X equals 4 so that I have something I can still show and tell in if my opponent does that. Alright, I think we got a little lucky that time. Like, if my opponent had show and tell, I was potentially in trouble. If they had sneak attack, they could have cast that as well. Alright. Triumph is good. Revoker is good. Spyglass is good. I'll be looking to play those. The Jittes are going to be relatively poor here. And then I guess some of the X stuff can probably go. Oh, unquestionably, the Bobs have been nuts. I pat myself on the back for thinking up that. I can't start to build a shell for the life of me. And this is a conversation I've already had with Max. I can't sit down and just build a list from scratch very well. But if you give me a list, boy, can I figure out ways to tune it and, like, make it better. Those are some of my respective strengths and weaknesses of my own personal Magic game. So, like, if you asked me to build a green Stompy deck, I would have been like, oh, I have no idea what to do. But you hand me that Dino Stompy shell, and you bet I can improve it. Okay, moving on now. I think we cut some number of Hangerback Walkers and Walking Ballistas to go and round things out. I think it's Hangerback Walker. So Hangerback Walker is really something you want for like these fair, grindy control fights. It can do some cute things in that you can create some flyers to jump block Grizzlebrand. So like maybe I'm supposed to like not cut all of these, and like maybe I'm supposed to play a 2-2 split or something to hedge for different directions. Because the Walking Ballista just serving as a laser to finish off the game is nice, but every once in a while you do need, like, Ravager plus Hangerback Walker. I'll block a Grizzlebrand, sacrifice the Thopter to Ravager, and stay in the game. Yeah, so I'll trim rather than cut completely. Oh, my hair is looking great. I was wearing my headset earlier. Got top tier hat hair going on. I will absolutely keep this hand. We have a lot of different tools to fight our opponent. We don't have a great clock currently, but you can't have it all. Note, I will be leading on Sorceress Spyglass, or sorry, I will be leading on Chalice of the Void over Sorceress Spyglass. Because if my opponent casts a turn 2 Show and Tell, I can still put the Sorceress Spyglass in, like name a Grizzlebrand or a Sneak Attack if they show that in, and get something done with it. Whereas the same is not true of Chalice. Yeah, this is about the best I could ask for. Like, if one of these lands produced black so I could actually, like, nug a creature that they put in, that would be everything that I was looking for. Hey, hey, and welcome! And they'll pretty much have to fetch with Flooded Strand in response. I don't think they can deal with being Sinkholed right now. Alright, a Blood Moon on the other side of the battlefield, as well as a Pyroclasm. Okay. So we know a Blood Moon is coming. So these are going to become mountains, and my Liliana's Triumph is going to become uncastable unless I get Lotus Petal. I think I value my Ravager more highly than this Stonecoil Serpent. Yeah, we do have 4 basic swamps. So I don't really want to play out the Ravager into the Pyroclasm. I would consider just playing out the Stonecoil Serpent this turn to just, like, start to have a clock. But I'd rather just play it for larger. Maybe I'm not even supposed to make a play. Like, just let them Blood Moon me, cast Stonecoil Serpent for X equals 3 next turn. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Well, if I play the Ravager, they can just Pyroclasm it away. Because I'm not willing to sacrifice my great artifacts to stop it from being removed. And I might just be able to play the rest of the game completely playing around that Pyroclasm. Oh, I don't know about that. I bet they would take a 1-for-1 trade with a Ravager. Ravager is terrifying. Alright, so they played the Valk, they played the Blood Moon. Now we play a 3-3. So, another thing is that the Blood Moon is almost good for us in some ways, in that we stop taking damage from this, and we words, and we don't lose the City of Traders to playing another land. Okay, so do I just sack a Ravager to a Ravager, and then just sack the Ravager to itself to just make a big Stonecoil Serpent and turn it sideways? Or do I just leave both of them there, like try to force them to Pyroclasm? I can just like leave both of these sitting here. Or I can just dump counters onto the Stonecoil Serpent. So, in their sideboard, they probably have something like 2 Clasms, 2-ish Echoing Truth, maybe 2-ish Abrade. So they have one of those in hand. Yeah. I don't think I'm going all in. I will sacrifice this artifact. Yes, I will use the ability. Aha! So now I have 2 3/3s. Nice, another mountain. Now that the Pyroclasm is gone, we know it's much safer to play out the Revoker, and we're going to put a redundant one on Sneak Attack rather than name Grizzlebrand because we know my opponent has this Emrakul. We are now representing lethal on our turn, and we take down the match. Alright, this deck feels great. Ugh. Yeah, were we still representing lethal damage off Show and Tell Grizzlebrand just by attacking him with all 3 creatures, and then whichever one they block, I end up sacrificing that to Ravager? I believe we were. So Bob confirmed great in this shell. There's a little bit of life total tension between your Bobs and the Ancient Tombs. And maybe the deck still needs a touch more for Delver than what it has currently. But very excited about this shell. Looks great. So we'll play like Ancient Tomb into City of Traders here. Probably playing Thorn turn 1. So if they're playing Delver and we could get a head on board, that would be great. But if they don't have a bunch of creatures currently, or if they're not Delver and this is actually something like Ant, playing with a Thorn is so much higher of an upside. That Tarmogoyf will get big. Oh, that Wasteland is very good. Again, like Wasteland into Fatal Push or something, I will not be a happy camper. Oh, just another Goyf. That I think is fine. It's good, but I think it's fine. I think I'm just going to start growing the team. I don't know that I want to lose the City of Traders to put a counter on Mishra's Factory, though. Like I could play City into Factory to play a 3/3 Serpent, turn it into a 4/4 with Steel Overseer. I don't know that that's worth it. If I'm going to play 2 cards, I want to put 2 counters on something that doesn't require me to lose. I like playing Ballista and Serpent. Okay, yeah, I could see that. Like let's just play to the board and let this bad boy take over the game. Just ignore that Jitte, just cast this for an X equals 1. And I'm A-okay with doing that at sorcery speed. Alright, so we've forced my opponent to just hold back here. So every turn, we're getting 4 or 5 additional power. I think I'm just going to hold the fort down here for a minute, see if they have something like an end step Abrupt Decay that is going to like change what I want to be doing. Nope, just an end step Brainstorm. That's fine. I don't think I care about the counter on this factory too much. So, alright, so I think I'm just going to let them untap. I think I'm going to use my Mishra's Factory to activate Hangerback Walker and just continue to make this continue to use this so that they can't really attack. Alright, you abrupt decay my overseer. That's fine. You have a couple of very large goyfs. Am I taking 10? I don't love taking 10. Yeah. The wastelands were strong. I guess I will take this. Actually, I could just trade one of Ballista and Stonecoil Serpent for a Goyf and take 5. Let's do that. There is already an artifact in the graveyard. So now the next question becomes, am I wastelanding them back? I think this is a fine land to just use towards Hangerback Walker activations. So let's ship in with the Stonecoil Serpent. I mean, this Hangerback Walker is going to be, like, comically large by the time it dies. If they Oko it, it'll be a 7/7. Which is equally kind of hilarious. Son of a gun. Ugh. Oh, man. That is upsetting. Ugh. Alright. Alright. I'll take things that I was not going to be playing around in the main deck for 500. Wow. Wow. Alright. Just sort of reeling from that still a little bit. What are the bug decks gonna do about this thing that produces infinite bodies when it dies? Ugh. Yeah, no kidding. That was savage. Yes, I would like to play first. I don't really love this hand. Like, Hangerback Walker is very good. But I don't think it's good enough that I want to be keeping this. I just don't feel like I have a solid game plan that wins me a match here. This I like much better. I think I'm not going to go for mana denial this game. I think I want to be playing all of these cards out, so I'm going to throw back my own Wasteland here and lead on Chalice. Note we have the combo of Urborg and Ancient Tomb, which means that we can stop tapping this Ancient Tomb for life later, which is super relevant. Oh, excuse me. Note, another thing that I could have considered is not playing Chalice for this matchup and keeping the Thorns in instead. Because, like, Abrupt Decay is naturally very good against Chalice. We're fine playing this into Daze to not take damage. Why are you playing that monstrosity? Because I have like 40 hits for Bob to not let me take damage? Isn't that reason enough? So now we're incredibly far ahead in terms of tempo. And we have some sweet cards to play. Am I double spelling this turn? Kind of feels like I want to double spell this turn. I don't need to worry about Spell Pierce, I just need to worry about Daze. Let's see if we can throw that in play. Oh, Plague Engineer is the monstrosity. Well, last night, after Jarvis smacked me around with 69 Plague Engineers, I realized that card was good. I don't think I'm going to play around Daze number 3. So this feels like Abrupt Decay. If I spend my turn doing something with that Jitte, I feel like Abrupt Decay kind of, it doesn't blow me out, but it makes my turn way worse. So I'm going to ignore my Jitte. Note that Stonecoil Serpent is going to play around that stupid bounce spell that ruined me last game. And I remember, like, 2 minutes ago saying that I was going to stop tapping this Ancient Tomb, but, you know, here we are. Alright, so I've taken out the Chalice instead. We have land instant artifact in graveyard. Nice. Now will I equip? Yeah, I kind of just feel like I should just keep crashing on in. The deck feels sweet. Lurgoy? I don't know how to spell Lurgoy. There's an H in there. Alright, so opponent's still just terrified of the Jitte, gets rid of it. But I have so much power on board. Yeah, that created 2 Thopters for me, so I'm okay with that. The only way that punishes me if my opponent has some sort of sweeper, but that would have to be something like Toxic Deluge, and they don't have the life for that. Yeah, they are on Bug Delver. I wonder if on the draw I'm supposed to play Thorns over Chalices. Bob's back, baby. And he's brought all of his exy friends. His 7 evil exes. Wait, hold on. He has 16. He's been a busy Bob. I think I'm going to resubmit with Chalice. I was also thinking about just bringing Sword of Truth and Justice in as a way to punch through, like... Actually, you know what? Let's play one of those. Just having something that can help open up my board versus an Oko or a True Name is totally fine, in my opinion. It also stops that stupid bounce removal spell that ruined the ever-loving crap out of me and I'm still salty about. I mean, what? Tyrant Scorn! I think my hand is kind of medium, but it has lands, it has spells, it's not doing anything fast, but I'm going to have some stability, and that's totally fine. I will probably snap off this wasteland on my opponent's Underground Sea and just trade resources with them. Yep. So I could just YOLO Plague Engineer on human here. It would suck if my opponent has a Daze. But it's a huge upside play if they don't have Daze or Force. Alright, so that was my Pedal and Engineer for their Force and Brainstorm. Please don't play a Goyf. We have some mana awkwardness here, in that I'd like to play the City of Traders as late as possible, but I'd also not like to tap Ancient Tomb. I have 2 more Engineers, 1 more Liliana's Triumph, and I think 2 more Bobs that are black. And my black cards are very good, so I don't think I want to play the city yet this turn until this Swamp's in play. So I think my best plays are Swamp Pass, Factory Pass. I just don't think it's worth paying life for this Ravager when I have no other synergy with it other than the Mishra's Factory. God, why? Plague Engineer? Please? What are they thinking about me on step? Or maybe, oh. Hello. Okay, so I can if my opponent doesn't... No, my opponent does have days. I know they have days because of the Delver reveal. So I can cast this Ballista for x equals 2. It will resolve. Use 1 counter to ping the Delver. And then on my next turn, reactivate. Use the Walking Ballista to kill the flipped Delver. We're going relatively low on life total here. But if this Delver's off the board, we may have stabilized. Alright. The days will presumably be going bye-bye. That was a very fast brainstorm. I almost want to just use the Lotus Petal for this. And in fact, I think I'm going to. Wait, hold up. You can now Ravager the Petal to keep the Ballista. Oh, snap. So I go 2, play Ravager. Oh, yeah, okay. Alright, so it's a force pitching a daze. Opponent's Hellplant. Yeah, I want to do it with the Petal. I want to keep this city around. So we attack first as to, you know, not miss the obvious onboard damage. Our opponent is Brainstorm locked, so like whatever's on the top is whatever's on the top. Don't draw like Tarmogoyf. Okay, well, that is what it is. Yo. Fuck. Ah. Ah. That's such a savage top deck. Yeah. Oh god, and they flipped Tarmogoyf to that? Um, we're on close to no outs. That should eliminate all of them. All right. That would have been a great bob. Seems like Delver, as we suspected, is still a little rough, even with the black cards. This hand's great. We are going to dump artifacts into play at a very fast rate. Okay. Our hand is less good against this. I presume that I'm losing Stonecoil Serpent here, since I can immediately play it as a 4/4 and gunk up the board, but I might lose Ravager. Nadu, as well as Chris Suon. Thank you very much for following. And I missed a couple other people earlier, as well as Getal Corpse. So the longer I hold this Stonecoil Serpent, the better it becomes. If I'm willing to wait another turn, I can play it as a 5/5, and then it will even trade with Reality Smasher or just Wall Thought-Knots here. So I kind of think I'm willing to just take a hit for 4 and hope that my opponent doesn't have another Thought-Knot. Second Thought-Knot Seer would be super punishing for that line. I think I'm okay with that. If they have it, they have it. Fuck. That was very good. All right. All right. We're dead. We're like not technically dead this turn, but there's 8 onboard power and my hand does nothing. Black cards seem stellar. So essentially, we have 8 cards we don't want. We want to take the Thorns and the Chalices out of our deck and just play a bunch of fat. So, like, we'll just get as many of these things in here as we can. I don't know that we're going to want to, like, cut any of our creatures, but we'll play some amount of this stuff. Ratchet Bomb feels really, 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 really slow as removal. And Sorcerer Spyglass doesn't have that many hits. I mean, the hits it does have are important, like when my opponent has a Jitte or, will have an active Ayabugan or something. Those things definitely matter. But I think I just want bodies. Plague Engineer on Eldrazi, pretty hot. I would like to play first, yes. No acceleration, no black mana, no turn 1 play. That one gets a no sir from me. This one's gonna get a keep from me. So I want all 3 of my lands. The question is, which one of these effective 2-drops am I throwing back? It might just be Bob in respect of my life total. But as we saw, our Bobs don't really damage us all that much. I think Seer Overseer has the potential to spiral this game out of control, and so does Bob. So I should only keep one of those cards since their roles are similar. And we're going to slow roll this hand and not just like lose our City of Traders on turn 1. Turn 2. Like we could just lead on like Steel Overseer into Hanger Backwalker, or like Steel Overseer into Plague Engineer or something. But I don't know that that's worth it. It's probably close to worth it. I could have led like turn 1 Steel Overseer into turn 2 Plague Engineer on Eldrazi. And then just hope to redraw a land. If I draw a Wasteland, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. So I can just put this on Construct and kill their Walking Ballista. That's kind of cute. Am I okay with not having access to 4 mana in the immediate future? I guess I am. I could also just like play the Hanger Backwalker this turn and then play the Plague Engineer next turn. Since I don't care if Hanger Backwalker trades. But it becomes really awkward if they just like were to pass with Ballista mana up or something. I'm just going to play back-to-back Plague Engineers. Deal with my Death Touchers. So I can just send another one of these to Eldrazi and hang back. I can also just, like, lose my city and accept that I'll play the Plague Engineer another maybe 2 or 3 turns down the line and jam both Hanger Backwalker and Steel Overseer, hoping to, like, create a dominating board presence. But I think if I drag the game along via these Plague Engineers, I will have time to do this later. So my opponent might play something like a Reality Smasher this turn and swing in with... Oh, God. Oh, they can't equip it. Fucking Spirit Guide! Well, that was not something I was playing around. Obviously not pleased about that. I mean, I totally agree with you, obviously. Don't know that my opponent should have used those Jitte counters there. I'm not going to play around Reality Smasher plus Soul Land, just for the record. Yeah, the Soul Land would have to be off the top, since they Cavern of Souls the previous turn and used the Spirit Guide. I swear to God, if you have the Soul Land. Alright. Sure. We'll take 5. And a Mimic for giggles. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think I'm going to main phase activate this as well to play around a Warping Whale on my stuff. Nice. 4/4. It admittedly does make another 4/4. Okay. So I can sacrifice Hangerback Walker and the 2 token it creates to create a 5/5 Arcbound Ravager. And then block the Eldrazi Mimic, taking 5. I will then have a 6/6 and have the largest creature on board. The brownest. The other thing I could do is, like, just block with the Hangerback Walker, sacrifice it to Ravager, and then just create some flying bodies. So if I attack in with everything, my opponent blocks a Revoker. They'll take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I attack in with everything except Overseer, they block Revoker. They take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nope. I have lethal if they block the Ravager, right? But otherwise I don't have lethal. Okay, so I hold this back. They block the Revoker. I tap the Overseer. It's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 off the Revoker sack. Oh, and then I sack the Overseer itself. I see. Yep. Okay. So now since my opponent blocked the Ravager, I don't even need to sacrifice the Overseer, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just sack the Ravager to itself and then move the counters onto, like, say, my Revoker. Why do people always block this? I mean, obviously I love it when they block Ravager too. That's a hard lesson to learn. Well, Dismember was already a problem due to their life total. So I know my opponent has Jitte now. Do I want to play Sorceress Spyglass? Nah. I have the Revokers already. Hmm. This is This is almost what we're looking for. Except, you know, having creatures. I think I'm A, going to deal too much damage to myself with this hand, and B, if I don't draw creatures in the first turn or two, I think I'm stone cold dead. I have 3 pieces of equipment, so if I want one, I can maybe get one over the course of a game. I'm going to ship this for something that can play to the board a little bit better. This will do. I'm going to throw back my uncastable card. I am going to take a lot of damage off this Ancient Tomb. And more damage off of that Ancient Tomb. So my Stonecoil Serpent is probably going to be a 4/4 next turn. So let's lead on a Ravager. I'm not yet sure if I'll just trade the Ravager for Mimic, given the opportunity to do so. Spirit Guide into Thought-Knot Seer. Oh no. Okay. Well, Ancient Tombs. A problem when your opponent attacks for 10 on turn 2. I don't think I have outs. The trample damage from Reality Smasher plus 2 Ancient Tomb activations leaves me dead. Yeah, I mean, well, welcome to Eldrazi. When you have the nuts, your opponent dies. Alright. So I felt like that deck was fine. To maybe even good. But we absolutely got nutted there. I mean, I enjoy Stompy decks. So, like, I know this isn't the one you're talking about, but this was one that was sent to me. Well, actually, I asked for it. I think it's M. Lupa is the person who came up with it. Yeah, Micah Lupa, at Drizoth, Drisoth on Twitter, came up with this deck list. And I was going to play it today, and then I realized that even with the cards that I own, it still cost me like $650 to borrow, and I only have a $500 loan account. So this will end up being for some other day. But for what you're actually talking about, something like this, I think this shell has potential. Callum Smith has been working on it a lot, as have a few other people. I like the versions that have just like the tiniest red splash for Aether Grid in the sideboard, because Aether Grid is a stupid and degenerate. What do I need? I don't know. You got like 3 Okos? Yeah, sure. I'll run it now. Yeah, I would just need about $150 worth of stuff, so like three Okos would probably do it, because I think they're like 56 each. So let's return the black steel stuff. If anyone is always wondering why I praise Card Hoarder so much, it took me like 20 seconds to return the cards that I wanted to return. Their program's awesome. All right, so we are gonna set the goose loose, which I'm super stoked about. I got absolutely savaged by this deck the other day. Oh, I should make a note of my uptime here. Uptime.